As you're developing leaders, a lot of this stuff works really well when you're bringing people up from the team because you've already got a foundation of trust and you've got some of these shared experiences. But sometimes you've got to hire somebody from the outside. And even just saying that, I'm like, oh, it's so hard.
It's
There's
so
much.
scary.
And you and I have had several backfires in doing that where we're like, this was not good.
Yep.
But we've had some successes too. So let's talk about that. What have we learned on when you got to bring somebody in? First of all, how do you know when you need to bring somebody from the outside versus bringing somebody up from your bench?
Well, my preference is always to bring someone up from the bench. What I've realized is, this, our business 1 year grew 40%. So sometimes the business need and the growth of the people here don't line up, and I need someone in that higher role faster than someone on my current team would be able to shift up into that. And for me to really help them win, they would shift up into it and bomb, So when I have to hire someone from the outside in that situation, I'm really looking for somebody that there's two areas. It's like hard skills, soft skills. Can they come in and can they build the rapport with the team? And one thing I've learned with that is allowing them an onboarding schedule where I put that first. So I'm not saying for 8 weeks all they do is walk around and have coffee with people. That'd be dumb. But do I give them adequate time to build the relationships with the people on their team and then the leaders that they would be also working with cross-functionally? How do I build that into their onboarding? And do I think that they'll be able to do that? The other thing is, do they have that critical thinking thing that we were talking about? And are they intuitive? I can't spell it all out for them. So I need them to be intuitive and figure things out. And I need them to be able to have the rapport built with other people to ask them also. They also need to be self-driven. So do I have to kind of tell them to giddy up? Or you and I joke about this all the time. I'd rather steer someone's energy than try to make them hurry up and have a higher sense of urgency. Mm-hmm. So are they going to get it? Are they going to understand the why? Are they going to get after it without me telling them? Are they going to be able to? There's 3 things I guess it really boils down to. And you came up with these, so this is so funny for me to say them to you. But
I actually don't know what you're about to talk about. So if I came up with them, I forgot them.
You know it. It's what we use here at Ramsey. Does this leader, are they able to have vision? Are they going to crush it at results? And can they also kill it at relationships? So all of those things I just mentioned really boil down to those 3 things. Can they have a vision for their area and where they're going? Can they make results happen? And are they going to have great relationships, or are they going to have dead bodies all over? And there's so many things that file under each one of those their communication skills. So when I talk about hard and soft skills, I'm really searching for, can they nail it at those 3 areas?
It's good to call it those 3 areas because oftentimes in other organizations, people will get to a level of leadership purely based on results. So if you're just looking at their resume, they've crushed it and they've got this big fancy title. And so you're kind of brought to think like, oh, well, they know how to lead because clearly they're the SVP of blah, blah, blah over here, this other organization. And if you don't really dig in on the vision piece and the relationship piece, for us, that's where it's bit us because we saw that they were able to get results. And they were even really good at interviewing. And so we thought they were going to be strong on this stuff. And they get in, and all of a sudden, people don't respect them. They don't have a vision for where they're going.
They can't communicate. It's just a mess.
Well.
Yes.
And in leadership, they're trying to get results with a team that doesn't. The way you get results with a team in leadership is they trust you. And so the gateway to results in leadership is relationships.
Right. You have to be able to influence your team to get the results that you want them to get.
I think we learned to slow down even more. I mean, we're already very diligent in the hiring process with any team member. But from some of our battle scars, we just really, anytime it's a leadership role, we take about 3 times longer and are that much more thorough. Not that it has to take that much longer in the calendar. It doesn't have to take 6 months, but we just have that many more interactions because we're really looking for, are they going to be able to hit the ground running and lead an existing team?
That's right.
There's a lot at stake. That's
the biggest thing. Recently, we hired a director of sales, and you and I are like, get on the phone, make things happen, cha 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 cha, And I really had to, from things we learned the hard way, where we brought someone in, didn't discover stuff, or didn't set them up well. I really had to slow down and say, okay, for the first 30 days, I'm not going to put any pressure on you to create results with the team. I'm going to take that 30 days. You're going to build rapport with the team. You're going to start observing stuff. I want you to get knee deep in these calls and understand the process and the products that we're doing. Then as we're getting towards the end of those 30 days, I want to hear your insight and what expectations should look like for this next 60 and 90-day period so that we really understand, do you have the foundation to start running? Because then we're going to start really having, and I had some tough conversations with this dude in the interview process. I think he's still scarred. He'll bring them up, like where I said, listen, this is the budget we're going to meet without you. If we just meet this budget, that's not a win for me. We need to be well past this budget now that we're investing in you coming on board. So I'm not being soft on this person and then just letting them, like I said, walk around and have coffee with people. It's like, this is the 30 days where we're getting all the foundational things where you understand what we teach, why we teach it, who we serve, what's going on over here, so that then you can hit the ground running and make results happen fast.
Yeah, those expectations are strong. It occurs to me also that having people around you who are leaders and get your culture, they need to be really involved in the interview process, especially if it's a leader. Let's talk about our relationship and kind of how we've learned to do this dance a little bit better through the years. Used to, I would go get so excited about somebody and I'm like, Sarah, we're hiring them, right? They're awesome. And you're like, okay. And the next thing you know, like they're sitting by you and you're like, I didn't really say yes, but Tardy's moving so fast.
I meant that as like, we'll talk more about this.
We're gonna keep talking, right? And I heard, yeah, hire him now. And it took my doofus brain about 7 or 8 failures on this to realize, and later you're like, hey, remember when I was trying to slow this down?
And I had to grow in my trust level to be able to say, and in my confidence to be able to say very clearly, I don't feel like we're there yet to hire this person. Here's the 3 things I'd like to dig in on to build my confidence. So it really was a two-way. I had to grow in my voice also to be able to talk about that.
Well, I think the point is if you will get really good at how as a team of leaders, you're going to work in each other's strengths in the hiring process.
That's right.
And really go, hey, my tendency for Tardy is always going to be to move a little too fast and get excited about a candidate. Sarah's tendency is going to be to slow it down. Courtney's tendency is going to be excited about a certain skill set they have. Felkins is going to have a tendency to say if they're fun to be around and they love barbecue, they're in. Like we each have kind of our own, and all those things actually matter, but none of them can stand alone.
That's right.
And so we've had to create kind of a culture of trust among our leadership team to say, hey, we really have to, if somebody's feeling uncomfortable, if somebody doesn't feel at peace about this, we expect you to speak up. We want your wisdom coming, because they're going to be a part of our core team when they get here.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you have to make that decision. So you might talk with 5 people on your leadership team and 3 people really like them and 2 people don't. We just had this situation. And I did sit down and say, okay, I know we're not all in alignment on this. Here's why I feel differently on these things. We're going to move forward with this hire, but here's my commitment to you. My commitment to you is I'm going to dig in on this hard in the first 30 days. I'm going to make sure that these areas that you're concerned about, here's my training plan for that thing. So I don't want people out there to hear like, well, it has to be a consensus or we don't hire them. The reality is at the end of the day, you are the leader and you have to make a decision, and you're not going to have a full consensus every time. But to sit down and take the time and say, I hear you, and here's what I'm going to do to help offset that risk.
Yeah, it's a good clarification, because it's not consensus. It's making sure everybody's voice is heard.
That's right.
And respected.
That's right.
And I think when you explain that you have heard them and why you're going to go forward anyway, most people, that's all they respect that. They
right.
Go, hey, I get it.
And people can disagree and commit. I think it was Lencioni that talks about this. As long as you acknowledge, like, I know we don't agree on this thing, but here's why we're going to go in this direction, and here's what I'm going to do to make sure we offset this risk. Then they can say, okay, I feel heard. I'm okay going in this direction, even though I didn't initially agree with it. And then they don't, what he calls alligator arm it, where they say they're going to make sure that this person is set up to win, but they're actually not following through on that stuff. It's kind of like false promises in a way, and they don't even know they're doing it.